to enjoy life.
Fresh sandwiches. Come to the
Hello.
soup and decide.
Agreed. Splendid. Come, let's duel.
We've got lunch specials. Good food. Good prices.
I appreciate this. Not at all. How unlike me.
This way.
Sandwiches. Come to the soup and decide.
We do not know defeat.
Come to view the requests? This one, yes? Right.
What was wrong with them? They would have been toast without you.
Vern flew beside me, seething. We are strangers to this land. Those soldiers have a reputation to uphold.
Yeah, but doesn't it get you riled up when people are so rude?
I laughed. If rudeness were the worst foe we ever faced, we'd be lucky warriors indeed. In truth, I empathize with them. It is the duty of a soldier to fight. Incompetence on the battlefield is a matter of great shame. My unwanted assistance was salt in the wound.
I guess I could see that, but still.
Listen, no one was badly hurt. That is all that matters. I had trained many knights in my day. They had gone through their growing pains, and tasting defeat and humiliation. Yes, failure is bitter, but it is nourishment. And thus the knights learned and grew, each and every one of them, into powerful warriors. When it came to the finer points of warfare, the forces of Seed Hollow were clumsy at best. But their sense of duty was unparalleled. Upon hearing rumors of danger, they had acted swiftly, marching without fear to the monster's den. And though they had been forced to the very cusp of annihilation, not a soldier had wavered or fled. Now, they too had drunk deeply of the medicine of defeat. I believe it would course through them like fire and bring them newfound strength. The forces of Seed Hollow were capable of much, much more. I entered the warm wooden interior of my cabin on the Grand Cipher, carrying an armful of books. I laid them on the desk, drew out a chair, and took a short trip through Seed Hollow's history. Unbroken peace. For 500 years after the ending of the war, violence had not troubled the skies of Zeka Grande. There were your usual skirmishes, of course, power-hungry rebels, etc., but nothing so big it had not been quickly sorted out and buried in the sands of time. However, 15 years ago, tragedy on Dolly Island acted as a catalyst to the rise of Avia. Hitherto peaceful primals went on rampage, and hordes of monsters were drawn to the carnage. So that's why. I thought back to the disordered ranks of the forces of Seed Hollow. Peace had dulled their senses. They had forgotten how to handle swords and spears, forgotten how to manage monsters, each one vastly different in shape and movement. They need guidance. The people of Seed Hollow seem to be gardeners, fond of orchards and good rich earth. They had no love of war, nor possessed the means for a great campaign. Unless a revolution were to completely reshape this country, I did not believe it would ever pose a threat to Fiendrock. Its forces existed not to invade, but solely to defend. But now, they had not even the power to do that. Seed Hollow's soldiers were steadfast and honorable. I had seen that. But they no longer knew how to protect their land. I had come to admire the delicate flowers and many bowed trees that flourished in this clime, and did not wish to see them trampled under a monster's claw or an invader's boot. I could offer Seed Hollow's forces counsel, but I would have to tread carefully. After all, I was a foreigner, and a former captain of knights. One misstep, and I could forever sour the relations between Seed Hollow and Fiendrock. I will have to be discreet. I threw on my traveling cloak and arranged my pouch. Hearing no footfalls outside my room, I slipped through the door and padded softly down the corridor.
Oh, hey, Siegfried. You heading out?
Vern spotted me on the deck of the Grand Cipher. So much for stealing off unnoticed. I'm going for a walk.
On your tiptoes? No way, man. I bet you're going on another one of your secret missions.
Though small, Vern had inherited the legendary wisdom of the dragons. Guilty as charged. But the fewer people who know about it, the better. Can you keep this from the others?
Come on, Siegfried. We all know you only act for truth and honor and justice and all that. If you're gonna disappear, you should at least tell your captain. My butt'll understand.
I could find no objection. It seemed that all the adventures Vern had been on, all the grand and wondrous things he'd seen, had sharpened his insight. Yes, of course. You're right. I followed Vern to the captain's cabin. I've come to ask for permission to leave on a private mission. But I must warn you, if things go wrong, it could spell trouble for the crew. My throat was tight, light nerves, I supposed, and a touch of guilt. The captain did no more than smile and wish me a safe journey.
What'd you expect? We trust you.
Fortune truly had graced me with the best of companions. I strode through the gates of Seed Hollow.
So, what you gonna do here?
With a dragon on my tail. I would like to ask you the same question. Why did you follow me?
Curiosity. What's a cool knight like you always doing when he leaves the Grand Cipher?
Curiosity killed the lizard. But no matter. Vern and the captain had offered me their complete trust, so I could do the same in return. Besides, if anything were to happen, I'd be there to protect him. You're welcome to stay, but I am only visiting Seed Hollow's forces again to offer help if I may. Nothing of interest.
Sounds like something my bud would do. But I thought you were gonna leave them alone, to help them save face or whatever.
I was, but I realized that, in the end, the safety of the people is too heavy a price to pay for pride.
That's fair. No offense though, Siegfried. Your way with words is a little, special. So I'll just come along and do the talking.
20 minutes later, Vern and I were in the heart of Seed Hollow, watching its soldiers scurry about like mice. 500 years of peace has truly taken its toll. Seed Hollow's forces had become only an army in name. In truth, the military affairs of the country were run by Zothba, a civilian and information broker. Everyone took orders from him.
Dispatch from Zathba. We got a lost child on our hands. Everyone, split up and search for the mother.
Yes, sir!
Man, you ever just get lost and have a whole army look for your mom?
Vern hovered by the branches of a tall oak, surveying the commotion with shining eyes. It is important to serve your people in times of concord as in times of strife, but I fear they have lost sight of their true duty. There is a saying, it is better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. Peace should never so lull a nation that its defenses are abandoned and its soldiers turned into clerks and errand boys.
Captain, new orders just came in. We're being sent to clear a horde of goblins camped right outside the city.
Now these errand boys faced hordes of monsters who had been roused by Avia's machinations. 500 years of stillness, nature, and peace gone, all at the whim of a madwoman.
You hear that, troops? Prepare for battle! Drive those goblins away from our homes!
Yes, sir!
They sure got bark. Problem is, they ain't got bite.
Are you worried about them?
Aren't you? You saw them get their butts kicked into the next item just a few days ago.
I did, but failure is the mother of success. I readjusted my gauntlet and shifted my sword on my back. This is a chance for them to grow. I'll make sure of it. Vern and I left Seed Hollow and turned off the road, beating a straight path to the goblins' encampment through trees and underbrush. We arrived before the soldiers. In front of us, half hidden in the darkness of a cave, slinked the forms of dozens of goblins. Alone, goblins are not much of a threat. When they're allowed to form hordes,
Oh, I know all about those smart little suckers. They can plot stuff and coordinate and everything.
I smiled. Vern was as much of a veteran as I was.
So earlier, you sounded like you were gonna help these soldiers out. What exactly have you got planned?
As you know, all monsters are different and must be dealt with in different ways. We shall teach these tactics to the soldiers, but from the shadows. Plan rehearsed, Vern and I crept from the shade of the trees and into the mouth of the cave. Come. We must be off. We've got to break their formations. First, let's go for a frontal assault on the sentries. I see.
Yeah!
The army from Tina! Hello, we'll be here any minute now! Hurry!
Don't worry. We won't even need a minute. Ready.
Looks like the soldiers are still prepping for the fight.
Perfect. That gives us just enough time to thin down their main ranks.
I don't think you can take much more. Get a move on! The soldiers are almost ready to charge! More gobbles! Man, there's a lot of them!
Well, let's fix that, shall we?
Be gone! Enough! Your end is nigh!
I can't believe they had so large a force. It's a good thing we came.
It's time I bared my fangs! There! Mine!
Reinforcements! You got this, Sig. Freed.
Break!
Okay? Worn out now.
No further!
Sparta! We're not feeling our hit!
Wave away!
Nice work! I think the soldiers can pick off what's left.
I think there are a few more goblins hidden, but likely not enough to reverse the tide. We had still better conduct a search, just to be safe. Let's go in deeper.
This is power!
Look! It's a goblin soldier! And what are those? It's little sidekicks?
I don't think Seed Hollow's forces will be able to handle this. We should at least bring down the goblin soldier.
So leave all the small fry alone? Got it. Don't want to rob Seed Hollow's finest of a job. Watch out for the shooters!
Ready!
Fire! I don't think you can take much more. Life let it heal.
Just getting started.
This does
not bode well. I can't retreat. Not now.
Siegfried, just the goblin soldier, remember?
Good. Let's move. We've got to break their formations. First, let's go for a frontal assault on the sentries.
The army from Seed Hollow will be here any minute now! Hurry!
Don't worry. We won't even need a minute.
They poison
Aaron!
We made it! Looks like the soldiers are still prepping for the fight.
Perfect. That gives us just enough time to thin down their main ranks.
More gobbles! Man, there's a lot of them!
Well, let's fix that, shall we? Great! I can't believe they had so large a force. It's a good thing we came. Good hit! I'm not out yet. Ready! Brave awaits!
Reinforcements! You've got this, Siegfried! Hey, bud. I don't think there's any butt left to kick around here.
Too slow.
Nice work! I think the soldiers can pick off what's left.
I think there are a few more goblins hidden, but likely not enough to reverse the tide. We had still better conduct a search, just to be safe. Let's go in deeper.
Look! It's a goblin soldier! And what are those? It's little sidekicks?
I don't think Seed Hollow's forces will be able to handle this. We should at least bring down the goblin soldier.
So leave all the small fry alone? Got it. Don't want to rob Seed Hollow's finest of a job. They're trying to get you from far away.
Enough! Your end is nigh! The art of war! This is power!
We're out now.
Ready. You're finished. Attack! Push through!
Right when it heals.
Well, I think we're done here. The army from Seed Hollow should be capable of handling the rest.
All right, let's head deeper in. Stay together and stay focused.
Aw, snap! Seems like they caught up. Let's hide!
I misjudged the situation.
Holy Bahamut! We did it!
The day is ours. Good work, troops.
Vern and I crouched behind a craggy boulder and watched as the soldiers strode about the battlefield. Not a goblin was left. The voices of the triumphant rose up and resonated about the high, cool walls of the cavern. All went well.
I guess, but those soldiers took a heck of a beating.
Vern perched himself on top of the boulder, head cocked to one side. They will continue to grow. They have experience now, and what's more, confidence. They will learn to keep their wits about them in battle, to observe the enemy and strategize.
If you're sure, there's something I've been wondering about, though, Siegfried. You didn't have to help these people. You're not even getting paid for this. So why go through the trouble?
I laughed softly. I think you already know the answer to that riddle. Because everything good in this world is worth protecting.
Hello there.
Three days after the victory in the caves, Vern rushed into my cabin.
Dude, he's here! The captain of Seed Hollow's army is here!
Here, on the Grand Cipher. My eyebrows drew themselves together. I was quite certain we hadn't been seen.
Do you think he figured us out?
No, that shouldn't be possible. I had lived and worked in the shadows for many years. I knew how to remain invisible. Let us meet him in any case. It would be discourteous to turn him away.
Agreed! We're lots of things, but rude ain't one of them.
Vern led me to a spacious room on the Grand Cipher, where our guest sat perched on the edge of a comfortable chair, his hands upon his knees. He stood up quickly when we entered.
It's, been a while.
He wouldn't quite meet my eyes. As the young man swallowed rather loudly, I recalled his last words to me. We can handle monsters without you swinging in to save the day. It has. I still regret my actions in the forest. Is that what you've come to talk about?
No,
He shook his head vigorously.
I'm here to thank you. You saved my life and the lives of my comrades.
So, our presence had been noticed. I swept my cloak back in a deep bow. I apologize for interfering yet again.
Oh, no, please, stop with the apologies. You're just making me feel worse. Listen.
He explained. 3 days ago, Seed Hollow's army had been called upon to drive back a horde of goblins. He had marched his company there with a heavy heart, expecting great losses. But to his surprise, when they emerged from the goblin den, they were not missing even a single soldier.
Goblins are intelligent. They post sentinels and form ranks, just like we do. Sword fighters and shield bearers in front, mages in back. Any battle with them should have been tough and bloody.
Yet these goblins had no set sentries, and their forces were meager and scattered. Even the large beasts the goblins kept in reserve had been terribly weakened by the time Seed Hollow's forces reached it.
But what could have worn it out like that? A night of partying too hard? No. Someone had to have helped us, and luckily, I had an inkling who.
Now he raised his round, earnest face and looked straight at me.
There was this knight who'd saved my troops before. He wore jet black armor and carried a crimson sword.
Yeah, no way you'd forget that getup after seeing it once.
Vern peered down at my armor. It was matte black, so I could slip by in the night unseen. But I suppose outlined against the light of the sun, it cut quite a distinctive figure.
The rest really wasn't that difficult. Went with that description to a merchant who deals with a lot of foreign traffic, and learned about a former knight captain.
I see. Years away from the battlefield had dulled the army's swords. This I already knew. But now I realize it had allowed them to build rapport with their people, winning them trusted eyes and ears throughout their country.
If anyone should be apologizing, it's me.
Before I could stop him, he went down on one knee.
That day in the forest, I was frustrated and ashamed by the weakness of my troops. So I took it out on you. I'm sorry. You saved my soldiers not only once, but twice. And the second time around, you even made sure we learned from the experience. I really don't know how to make it up to you.
Vern and I looked at each other, surprised by the sincerity in his voice. Your kind words are more than enough, and your forgiveness. The young man opened his mouth, but I shook my head. Whatever the circumstances, I still trampled your pride underfoot.
What's pride when compared to life?
To speak the truth, I thought Seed Hollow's forces poorly trained and disorganized, from an outsider's perspective at least. By placing a hand beneath the man's elbow, I silently bid him rise. But I see now that you have strength and wisdom that was hidden to me. With you in command, I have no doubt your company will go on to accomplish great things.
That means a lot, coming from you.
He smiled, the tension melting from his frame.
But the fact remains that I let my soldiers get out of practice. You've helped me realize a lot these past few days, and I promise we'll train harder than ever, make up for lost time, and become the defenders this country deserves.
Good. Never stop believing in yourselves. Seed Hollow, a land of gardeners who derive joy from the bounty of flora and the simplicity of peace. Though they were no longer the mightiest of warriors, they were by no means weak. No more than the wildflower, who holds aloft its petals in dry soil and through battering storms. And like wildflowers, they would continue to grow and flourish. Though Seed Hollow is a small country now, perhaps in time, it will rise to become a mighty nation. When that day comes, it surely will make a valuable ally for Fiendrock.
Hey, is it just me, or have we been getting less monster hunting missions recently?
We, as all Skyfarers, were used to shouldering the quests of greatest peril, as we've seen more combat than most standing armies. However, though Zega Grande was as plagued by monsters as ever, we'd had a quiet few days.
I think I can explain.
Lyria raised her hand, eager to impart valuable intelligence.
Apparently, Seed Hollow's soldiers have been super on top of things lately. A monster appears, and before the Crew Alliance can even draft up a mission, they get in there and solve the problem.
Good for them, but less work for us means less jingle in our pockets.
Vern drifted to me from across the room and, positioning his snout by my ear, spoke in a whisper.
Guess they really got their act together, huh?
It would certainly seem so. I looked up at my small comrade in training. We exchanged a secret smile. Well done, troops. Well done.
Have a nice day.
We got...
It is an honor.
Come to view the requests?
Was a boy. My best friend's parents were killed by wyverns. After witnessing the depth of his grief, I decided I would become a knight. I would protect the kingdom from monsters and the tragedies they wrought. But there was one massive wall standing between me and my goal. It was not aptitude, for I had some talent with the sword, but the station of my birth. At that time, Fiendrock was a kingdom run by its aristocracy. Commoners were restricted to a life of labor, and the knightly orders were composed entirely of noble houses. Immediately I was rejected, told that I could offer my sweat to the crown, but not my blood, for it lacked the proper lineage. I was not deterred. Who was to say that our stone-walled villages could not breed warriors as well as our gold-gilded courts? I studied, I trained, and I worked harder than any man had ever worked to become a knight. In the end, my efforts bore fruit. Siegfried, who at the time was still in the service of the king, understood my plight and changed the course of history. He allowed me into the order of Black Dragon Knights. But uneasy rests the commoner with new acquired titles. The nobility would only be too eager to dismiss me over the slightest misstep and prevent the chivalrous orders from being contaminated by peasant filth. I could not fail. The weight of my people and the future of the kingdom spurred me. I had to become the perfect knight. My ascension was not easy. If given a choice, I might have chosen a different path. But when I had at last emerged from the crucible of trial and tragedy, I was a changed man. I was the captain of the White Dragon Knights. My mentor, Siegfried, was captain of the Black Dragon Knights. He once saved the kingdom by killing the dreaded dragon, Fafnir, and vouched for me when no other would. So when my friend and counselor was convicted of regicide, I felt betrayed. Siegfried's downfall thrust upon me the leadership of the newly dubbed White Dragon Knights, and I swore to bend all my power toward bringing him to justice. In hindsight, this anger was misplaced, foolish. There was no reason for Siegfried to assassinate the king. I should have deduced Royal Consul Isabella's hidden coup, long before turning on a man whom I knew to be steadfast and honorable. My mind trembled under the pressure of newfound responsibility. It howled and grieved for the loss of a beloved king. I know that this amounts to no more than an excuse. It was my flash judgment that drove me away from Siegfried when he needed me most. Had I been left to my own devices, the conspiracy may have never been brought to light. But I had Vayne and Percival at my side, and, though hunted by all the country, Siegfried himself infiltrated Isabella's cabal and alerted me to their treachery. I may owe the biggest debt, however, to the Skyfaring Captain, whose aid was instrumental in restoring peace to Fiendrock. After the dust had settled, His Majesty King Carl decreed that I explore other countries so I could gain experience befitting my new station. Thus, I became another crewmate aboard the Grand Cipher. Since then, I have visited various lands. I have seen myriad peoples and their responses to numerous threats. I have learned many things and gained many new teachers, and as they have given freely to me, someday I hope to give back to them. But there are yet countless leagues to travel, so on I sail across the skies, seeking the strength and wisdom necessary for a true leader. Zega Grande Skydom. How much time had passed since our arrival here? With our battles against the Church of Avia and the pacification of many primals, it certainly felt like a lifetime. But now that things were a little quieter, we were content to return to our usual bread and butter, satisfying requests from locals. Though the crew was accustomed to quests of all sorts, one day, there came a demand that left us puzzled.
Sorry for the confusion, folks. This request isn't for the whole crew. It's an escort mission for Lancelot, specifically.
Me? But why? There were few in this skydom who had even heard of my name. Curious, I asked about Hans, the man who had posted the quest.
Oh, you don't know him? Seems like he was real familiar with you. Anyways, he's a butler for the Lord of Grosgard.
I hesitated. There was nothing I could do that another crewmate couldn't accomplish just as well. Acknowledging a specific request for me felt discourteous in a way.
You're not at your fancy-ass court anymore, okay? On our ship, you don't have to worry about rubbing anyone's ego the wrong way. If you're interested in the job, just take it.
Though he may not have been tactful, Eugen was, as ever, a fount of wisdom. Very well, then. I shall hear what this Hans has to say.
It is a pleasure to meet you. I am Hans, butler to his lordship.
The next day, an elderly man ambled onto the Grand Cipher, leaning heavily on his cane. But looking into his eyes, I sensed deep wisdom and a sharp mind. The pleasure is mine. I am Lancelot, a Skyfarer. Forgive me for not accepting your request at once, but I would like more details before returning an answer.
Yes, well, his lordship Ludwin is in need of an escort.
Hans explained. Ludwin was a lord of Grosgard, and he was looking for a mythical sword passed down through his family for generations. So far, his search had led them to a snowy peak, but nearby monsters made the trip too dangerous to risk without protection. Does your lord not employ a personal guard?
He does, but as this quest is for personal gain, he believes that commanding their service would be an abuse of power. However, the lords of Grosgard have never been gifted in the martial arts. So if we head to the mountains without a decent sword arm, tragedy will surely befall us.
But what led you to seek my sword arm specifically?
Well, we knew we needed a highly experienced Skyfarer. The mission is dangerous, far too dangerous for any amateur. But perhaps more importantly, his lordship is quite the fan of yours, Sir Lancelot.
A fan? My voice cracked in surprise.
Yes, you are known as a knight exemplar, talented in both combat and scholarship. How fortunate that this very same Lancelot would come to our land and proffer his services.
Whatever accounts you've heard of me were surely exaggerated.
And so humble. Lord Ludwin will be overjoyed when he hears that we've secured your aid. The Honorable Sir Lancelot to protect us. What could be better? So, will you accept?
Though this idolatry did not sit well with me, I could see no reason to refuse. From what I'd heard, Ludwin seemed an honorable man. Besides, there was much a Lord of this Skydom could teach me. Very well. On behalf of our crew, I accept your request. I walk the path of my forebears. Hans and Ludwin were waiting for me at the foot of Mount Nagelith.
It is an honor and a privilege to meet you, Sir Lancelot of Fiendrock. Hans has probably already told you who I am, but allow me to formally introduce myself. I am Ludwin, Lord Protector of Grossgard.
Though his aura was imposing and befitting of a lord, he also felt courteous and down-to-earth. The honor is mine. Though I am now no more than a Skyfarer, I swear to protect you and yours with my life, should it come to it.
Well, whatever your title, I am glad to have your aid.
Ludwin was beaming. Hans had told me of his excessive devotion, but it was another thing seeing it in person. I suddenly felt I wasn't quite sure how to conduct myself. Right. So you believe a family heirloom is hidden among these peaks?
Not the sword itself, but the first of a series of trials that shall reveal the blade in due time.
I see. And what is the first trial?
There's a record somewhere around here which should detail the whereabouts of the sword. A little game of my family's, if you will. But on second thought, perhaps a great knight such as yourself has nobler things to do than this frivolous treasure hunt in the snow. Yes, perhaps we had better call it...
My lord.
Hans was stern, more mentor than butler.
The ancestral trials are not frivolous. Each one holds an important meaning. Those same challenges taught your father how to reign. Skies rest his soul.
Yes, you're quite right. Forgive me, Hans. So, with that settled, I shall count on you, Sir Lancelot, to provide the muscle. For as you may know, I am sadly little more than a statesman.
I am yours to command. With that, I unsheathed my twin blades and started our quest. The white dragon unfurls its wings. Come. I'll go on ahead and make sure the path is secure. For your own safety, try not to stray.
Oh, do let me know if I can be of assistance.
My lord, let's leave the fighting to the professionals, shall we?
Oh, yes, of course. Well then, Sir Lancelot, do what you do best. The bridge is down! Now what will we do?
Let's search for another path. This mountain is vast. I doubt this is the only trail.
That looks like a way forward.
The footing seems a bit treacherous. Please watch your step.
God! Monsters!
Stay behind me. I'll deal with this.
Away with you! Too slow! On guard! Give it! 4-4! Wide open!
I think that was the last of the monsters.
What glorious form, Sir Lancelot! It is a pleasure to watch you work.
If you're unhurt, my lord, we had better proceed.
Checkmate! Yeah! Too slow!
It's hard to breathe.
Give it! Fall! Away with you!
Off of these ranged pop-doodles. Do be careful, Sir Lancelot. Don't worry. I'll close that distance in a heartbeat.
Once more! Relent!
Is this a dead end?
No. Look! A chest!
Wait, this monster.
Get behind me! A giant eyeball! I think I've read about this monster! Nazarbanju!
Correct. Our crew has faced it once before.
Ah. Such daring do, brave Lancelot! Not yet! You're finished! Name!
Understood. Do not falter.
Terrifying beast! A single glance and I feel frozen solid!
We'll see which is colder. Its gaze or my frost.
Away with you! Wide open! What? Up here! On guard! Understood! Parry this! Too bad for you!
I believe we're safe now. After this, it's back to training.
Impressive! The Twin Fang prodigy does not disappoint.
Thank you, my lord. I hadn't done much during our climb, so the praise caught me unawares. Shall we check this chest? It could contain the record you seek.
Yes! Let's see what she's holding.
The young lord opened the box. A rather dry affair, as we already knew what to expect.
And here it is!
In his hands, he held a flaking tome, its pages warped and yellowed by age.
This takes me back. Once upon a winter, I sought out that very book with Ludwin's father.
And now it's been passed to me. But this...
As Ludwin flitted through the pages, his face twisted into expressions of greater and greater perplexity.
I can't read this at all. Is this some sort of code?
I suppressed the urge to take a glance myself. My duty was to protect, not translate. In the end, it was Hans who broke the silence.
If it pleases his lordship, shall I offer a hint?
Ludwin shook his head.
No, this is a trial that I must conquer myself. And on that note, I believe you are dismissed, Sir Lancelot. I thank you for your services today, and payment will be made forthwith.
Understood. If ever you need my help again, do not hesitate to call. Thus, my private escort mission ended without much fanfare. And yet, I had a feeling that our paths would cross once again. At least, I hoped that they would. There was something about Ludwin. His earnestness, perhaps, and his love for his comrades that resonated with me.
Yes, can I help you?
My premonition proved correct.
His lordship finds himself in need of your assistance once more.
Hans's voice was almost apologetic. What troubles him?
You remember the record we found on our previous trek, don't you?
I nodded. The Lord of Grossgard was searching for a family heirloom, and this record detailed its whereabouts. However, the directions were written in code, which Ludwin had yet to decipher.
He told me, and I quote, "Hans, don't you dare bother the charming and brave Lancelot over a mere trifle." But he hasn't made any headway on his own, and I've no doubt he's secretly yearning for your aid.
I looked at the butler with some confusion. Hans, I recall you saying you'd already completed the trial with Ludwin's father.
Indeed.
Then your assistance would be far more valuable than mine.
Come now, it is a butler's duty to serve his liege's best interests, and Lord Ludwin's shall be best served with my silence.
I suppose Ludwin would never grow if Hans simply led him to the answers. Better that we pieced out the puzzle together. Very well. I accept your request.
I thank you on behalf of his lordship.
Now I was beginning to grasp at the deeper meaning behind these tests. Hans took me to Grossgard. As an artist's soul is mirrored in their brushstrokes, so too is a lord's character reflected in the state of their dominion. Everywhere, you could see Ludwin's gentle touch, from the full fields to the content faces of the farmers, to the laughter of children and adults alike that filled the air.
What do you think of our humble land?
I tore my eyes away from the bright orchards and turned to Hans. It's beautiful. It may not be large or bustling, but I've never been to such a peaceful dukedom.
I'm sure his lordship will be pleased to hear that assessment.
Suddenly, I found myself curious. Earlier, you said that the ancestral trials would teach Ludwin how to rule. But judging from what I've seen here, he is already a capable lord. What more would you like him to learn? Hans smiled tenderly, as a grandfather might when speaking of a beloved grandchild.
I should have known an avid scholar like yourself would read between the lines. Make no mistake, Ludwin is not a perfect leader yet, but it is not my place to discuss his flaws.
Then tell me this. Are his flaws related to his family's inability to fight?
Let us call it a starting thread, but the full tapestry is so much more.
I decided not to pry. I already had the information I needed to guide Ludwin through his trial.
Sir Lancelot? I don't remember sending for you.
Of course, the Lord was surprised to see me. Although friendly, I was a rogue element in a world where this man had control of nearly everything. I have come at the request of Hans. He would like me to assist you in deciphering the tome.
I see. Hans does have a knack for meddling in his lord's affairs, but I welcome you all the same because, to tell the truth, I'm getting absolutely nowhere.
I smiled, despite myself. It was nice to meet a noble who wasn't spilling over with pride. Hans beckoned me to his desk, and I leaned over the old tome.
What do you make of it? This must be child's play for a famed warrior scholar.
He looked at me with expectant eyes. I'm sorry, but I can't decipher this. We will need to enlist the help of an expert. Expectation turned to astonishment.
Lancelot, though you fight like a storm, your mind is as clear as the stillest of ponds. I can't believe you'd need to ask for assistance.
Can't you? Every second I spend on the battlefield is a second away from the library. Ludwin hesitated a while longer, but when I strode to the door and held it open for him, he sighed and relented. No one in either of our circles was well versed in ciphers, but that was a matter of small concern. I knew an information broker. Zothba put me in touch with a language scholar, who delivered a key to us within a fortnight.
Well, I'll be. The clue was in the names of my ancestors.
Ludwin stood up behind his desk and stretched, and the lines of care and worry melted from his face. He must have had many sleepless nights, poring over the withered pages of the tome alone.
Thank you, Sir Lancelot. I can finally read the damn thing. It's only a matter of time now until I find the sword.
It was my pleasure. I look forward to news of your success. But I already knew. Before the unearthing of the blade, Hans would come to visit me one last time. I was half right. It was not Hans, but Ludwin himself who showed up at our doorstep.
I deciphered the record, and I know where the sword is buried.
He was so excited he completely forwent pleasantries.
I know I should go alone, with Hans of course, but the tome says we must fly to Skyworm Valley, which is riddled with monsters. It's a terrible place for a lord to be made into dragon kibble.
I knew what he wanted me to say. Very well. Please, allow me to accompany you.
Really? Wonderful! I mean, only if you wish.
This must have been the flaw Hans was alluding to. Ludwin was afraid of his own power. He dreaded the responsibilities that came with leadership. The Lords of Grossgard were not warriors and hadn't been for generations. They depended on their subjects for protection. But as I'd learned, Ludwin was loath to do so. Up until now, this has not posed a problem. Small skirmishes were all that troubled the peace of his dukedom. But what would happen should a great war march on his borders? Would his honor eventually spur him to the front lines? To death? The place of a lord and general is with the rear guard. There, they must order the battle and conduct diplomatic affairs. But it is hard, sitting and conversing in safety while your soldiers are risking their lives. As captain of the White Dragons, I knew this better than anyone. You feel as if every death is on your head. At last, I had come to fully understand Ludwin. If these trials, as Hans said, could help him come into his own, then I would do everything in my power to guide him to victory. What fortune! The day arrived. Ludwin, Hans, myself, and a few more compatriots met outside of Skyworm Valley.
Lancelot, thank you for coming, but I wasn't aware there would be others with you. Who are these people?
He looked with wide eyes at the rest of the crew, whom he had never met before. I have heard terrible monsters lurk in these parts. Alone, I would not have been able to guarantee your safety. These are my crewmates, each one a warrior of great strength and honor.
Not that I don't appreciate their presence, but Sir Lancelot, surely a knight of your caliber could cut through these beasts with both hands tied behind your back.
Chance, my lord, is as unpredictable as the weather. A wise skyfarer prays for a gentle current, but prepares for a vicious storm. Ludwin nodded thoughtfully.
Very well. Best I leave the knighting to the knights.
We go into the Viper's Nest. Take care. Are you ready to begin the trial?
It's now or never. Let's go.
Hey, look! The welcome squad!
Full! Our attacks aren't working! Is this part of the trial?
Wait, I remember. The record said a single link does not attain me.
No fighting one at a time will work. Let's hit it all at once.
Very well. On Lancelot's mark.
On me!
Understood. Stand and face me.
We must remain vigilant.
Very clever, Vane.
Siegfried called me clever.
Silence. If not for Lord Ludwig's counsel, you would have been lost.
You did it!
Fortune favors
You
the bold.
really did it!
For sure.
I only wish I'd have been of more use.
Don't worry about it. We've all got stuff we're good and bad at.
There is no shame in seeking help from others. It builds trust.
Yes, trust. That is all we ask from you, Lord Ludwig.
Looks like we've reached the second trial. There are so many spirits around.
We best fight in formation. This may be similar to the previous trial.
Very well. Leave the vanguard to me.
Give it to me! We're gonna be so in sync.
We're old brothers in arms.
I'm about to see 4 legendary knights in battle at once. He first to behold.
I'll follow you.
You've gotten better at reading the flow of battle.
I had a good flying attacks aren't working. We need to coordinate. Push forward. Wide open now! You're finished! Let's go! Torpedo!
I'll follow. I love your work.
Give
No
yourself
foe
more
compares
credit.
to us! In position! Nice work! It's my honor!
A little backup.
I'll handle this course!
I can't wait to do that again.
Yes, I know. Focus on the dangers ahead. Stay into the fray! I'll follow you!
At once. Does it for the second trial.
Right into our
Too
trap.
easy,
Thank you.
Lancelot?
Not at all.
Who's
We've
ready
only
for
made
second?
smooth progress thanks to the team.
We fought alongside each other for years. This was nothing.
What is that thing? It's huge!
Garrison. It is a dead soul given form by evil spirits.
The dead? I never signed up to fight the dead! Retreat! Everyone, retreat!
Remain calm. We can handle this.
You can't know that for sure! Stars above, if anything were to happen to you because of pride, weakness!
My Lord Ludwig, I ask that you listen to Lancelot. Place your trust in us.
My noble guy. We're a total dream team. A kick-butt quartet. We got this.
On my mark!
Teamwork.
You're mine!
Very well. Lancelot believed in this team, and so shall I.
Quaking fear! On ivory wing! Ice Flugel! Percival!
No despair! Low and wolf!
This is
Victory! Just like always.
Charge the Vanguard. Bang! Yes, sir.
You won't prevent
Mine. For glory. Absolute zero.
The
of our powers combined, no force can stop us. Stay focused! Look out!
I'm eager to see their limits.
Too slow. Give it.
Quite the improvement.
Bane, retreat. A free. Never happened. Away. Vital. Surrender.
Attack! For the sky!
Seize the dead.
Understood! Thanks, Bane.
Order.
Spare them nothing!
Now,
go!
Let me at him.
You're coming into your own. I am still but a shadow of what I will become.
Surrender. Know your place. Away with you. Blessings from your Lord.
Thank you, Percival.
For four. It's over. After me.
Understood.
Let's try your metal.
Strike! Right!
Teamwork, baby.
What fierce allies!
I expect much from my vassals. Do you feel we could improve our synergy?
Stay focused!
This is power. Away with
You won't give up.
Ungo! You won't prevail! You're through! Not yet! Look out!
Never happens. I'll protect you. Wait!
I shall not falter! Help is on the way. You can't resist charging in by yourself,
Reclaim
can
my
you?
honor. Ashes to ashes! Nay! Away with you now! Give it now!
I'm behind you!
I'll follow.
The tide is with us. That was quite a long
You
time.
always have my aim.
Time's over.
Wide open through! Don't wait with a mercy for us! We go do!
Stay focused! You won't
It's over!
Ungo!
Too bad for you! You will burn! Give it!
For four! Perfect! Just what I need! Follow close! I'll follow you!
My blade!
We strengthened both bodies.
Upheld by fangs of gleaming ice! Honor will prevail!
Took down all those monsters. That was sublime.
Well, the chest awaits you, my lord. Open it and claim your prize.
Ah, yes. Of course.
One blade for truth, one for honor. After numerous trials, we arrived at last in front of a lone treasure chest.
If it hadn't been for your help, Sir Lancelot, I wouldn't have made it this far. I fear I won't ever be able to repay this debt.
There is no debt between us. But do not trouble yourself about me. Look now to your prize. With trembling hands, Ludwin undid the clasps of the chest and lifted from it a sheathed sword.
The blade of my forebears. It's, lighter than I thought it would be.
Carefully, he drew forth the weapon.
What's the meaning of this? It's just a hilt!
Ludwin was the very picture of distress. But I saw through the riddle at once. A sword with no blade. A weapon that could neither defend nor slay. It was a message, left by the first lords of Grossgard for their scions. Gently, I cleared my throat. Perhaps, my lord, it was meant to be a hilt, and a hilt alone.
What? Why would my ancestors bequeath unto me a hunk of metal?
You will find the answer to this puzzle, as you have to all the others. Slowly, Ludwin's grip on the blade relaxed, and he began to turn it over in his hands.
Fine. I'll give it a bit more thought.
Sir Lancelot, do you really think his lordship will be able to figure it out?
On our way back, Hans fell in beside me to take whispered counsel. What does your heart tell you? You have been at his side all these years. Hans made no reply, but I saw the shadow pass from his face and a soft light come into his eyes.
For the skies and her people.
So then?
Window shoppers welcome! You'll love what you see! Step right up, folks! Feast your eyes on my incredible merchandise! Step right up, folks! Feast your eyes on my incredible merchandise! Okay, concentrate on your form. Now lock in. That's it.
Merchandise!
Yeah. No prices! Even I can buy this stuff with my allowance!
Window shoppers welcome! You'll love what you see! Get that extended warranty for your airship! Best prices in town!
Rare.
No. There. Lean into your strike. See that? Mm-hmm.